So welcome to our third session for the Bhagwad Gita, the energetic interpretation. Today we will move on to another topic, which is a description of the Pandavas and the Kauravas. So this is where we left off, the first and last verse of the Bhagwad Gita, chapter 18, slok 78, where the conversation is between Sanjay communicating to Dhritarashtra that where there is Krishna, there and where there is Arjun, together there is prosperity, glory, victory, and firm policy. So moving on from there, this is the third session. So the Bhagavad Gita can be interpreted at many levels, at the material or the historical level, the astral level, and the mental and the spiritual level. So moving on. So who are these 100 Kauravas? How are they produced? So if you remember, we have 5 sense of perceptions that are often talked about. So Paramahansaji refers to them as the 5 telephones. You know how we are all attached to our mobiles these days. It's constantly running. It's either chatting or talking or whatever it is. So anyway, so we have these 5 telephones of perception who are constantly sending information into us, just like our phones are constantly feeding information into our bodies, into our minds. So similarly, there is sight, which is the ability to see with the eyes. There is hearing, which is the ability to hear. There is smell, which involves the nose. There is taste, which involves the tongue. And there is touch, which involves the entire skin. And there are 5 instruments of action. So there's speech, which is the ability to speak. Manual ability, which is the ability to move our hands and our legs. Locomotion, which is the ability to move. Procreation, which is the ability to reproduce, those of us who have children. And of course, the last one is excretion, which is the ability of the body to get rid of stuff that it doesn't want anymore. Each of these 10 sense instruments and the 10 instruments of action have 10 propensities each. So 5 plus 5 in brackets multiplied by 10, that's 10 plus 10 into 10, which is the 100 vices or the 100 Kauravas. So if you're wondering where these 100 vices come in from for us, that they come in through these 5 telephones of sense perceptions, and they also come in from the 5 instruments of action. Okay. Now let's move on to the shloka. So 1.2, the shlok 1.2, basically Sanjay informs Dhritarashtra what Duryodhana is saying to Drona. Drona is the Kul Guru. So not the Kul Guru, actually, he's the guru of the Pandavas and the Kauravas. So he says, Drishtava tu Pandavanikam vyudham Duryodhanastata Acharyam upasangamya racha vachanam apravit. So basically, Sanjay is reporting that Duryodhana has approached the guru, Drona, and is telling him to observe the entire Pandav army, which is very powerful. So again, moving on to the Pandavas, there are 5 Pandavas, and according to Paramahansaji, they are referred to as, they refer to certain chakras because they control the energies of certain chakras. So moving right along, but just before that, we have to explore the fact that both the 5 Pandavas were born of 2 women, 2 mothers. One was Madri and the other one was Kunti. Now Kunti is called the power of dispassion by Paramahansaji, and Madri is referred to as the power of attachment to dispassion. So what does that mean for us? So what that basically means is that, and the father was Pandu. So Pandu was pure discriminating intellect. Pandu also apparently in Sanskrit means white. So if you remember when we do basic pranic healing, the color that we use is basically white. Okay. So these 2 chakras, the Mooladhara chakra and the Swadhisthana chakra, are born of Madri, and they are also born of the Ashwini twins. So they are born under the influence of the Ashwini twins. Now, one thing to keep in mind is when the spinal cord goes down, so the spinal cord goes down the entire body, it basically separates into 2 portions, one going towards the sex chakra and one going towards the basic chakra. So these are the twin chakras that control the earth element. So the basic chakra controls the earth element, and the sex chakra controls the water element. The water element is urine, it's sexual fluid, all of that is the water element. And the earth element is basically the muscular system, the bones, all of that is the earth element. So those are mothered by Madri, And the other three elder brothers, so to say, are Arjun, Bhim, and Yudhishthir. Arjun is the fire element. He is also born of under the influence of Lord Indra. Bhim is the air element, and Yudhishthir is the ether element. Now, their mother is Kunti and the father is Pandu. So, what does this mean? So, Arjun basically is controlling, is reference to the solar plexus chakra, also called the Manipur chakra. Bhim is the heart chakra. So, for those of us who have a background in pranic healing, we are aware that the heart and the back heart together help control the lungs. Now, the lungs controls the air element. Okay, Vishuddhi is throat, and Yudhishthir is in charge of the ether element. So the throat is ether in the sense that the words that we speak have a lot of power, but they may or may not have form. So they don't form anything material. But when we say something, the ether element comes together and it comes out of our throat. So that is Yudhishthir. Okay, now Shahadev, like we said, is born out of one of the twins of the Ashwini Kumar. He is also referred to as the divine power of resistance. So what is the divine power of resistance for? Resistance to probably maybe so that the body holds on to the gravitational pull of the earth, so that the body does not atomize, perhaps. So that could be the role of the basic chakra, and that is the role of Shahadev. Then we have Nakul. Nakul is the water element. He handles attention, and he is the power of adherence. So, when a man and woman get together, there is the power of adherence and a new life is created. So that's one way to think of the sex chakra or the Swadhisthana chakra. Then we have the Manipur chakra, which is the fire element. So Arjun is born of Indra, the king of the gods, and he represents divine self-control. So just going back, if you visualize the body as a chariot and Arjun is sitting in the chariot, so Arjun is the divine self-control sitting in the chariot. Lord Krishna is the charioteer, he's driving the chariot. So Arjun is that, the solar plexus chakra. So the solar plexus chakra is positioned here, over here in the soft part over here. So the solar plexus chakra basically is a chakra that is in the center. And so everything passes through the solar plexus chakra. The upper chakras also communicate with the lower body through the solar plexus chakra. And the lower body also communicates with the upper body through the solar plexus chakra. So it forms a mediatory role. It also so if there's self-control in the solar plexus chakra, then obviously the person is going to evolve a lot better. So the solar plexus chakra is where we have our fears, where we have our cravings, all of that is in the solar plexus chakra. Okay, moving along to Bhim. Bhim is the air element. So for those of us who practice Aratic yoga or any other form of meditation which involves pranayam, we are basically working with the heart chakra and we are working with Bhim, who is the air element. Now, Bhim is one of the most powerful in terms of physical power. He's one of the more powerful characters in the Mahabharata. He's supposed to be a very, very strong warrior. So for some of us who are aware of the effect of the wind, we have recently experienced some cyclones in the West Bengal area, and we have experienced the power of wind. So be aware the wind element is a very powerful element. Now, Bhim is born of Vayu or of Pavan, and it is the strongest of the gods. Okay, now the last one is Yudhishthir, who is the eldest brother. He is born of the ether element. He is born of Dharma, and he is the presiding deity of all righteousness. So Vishuddhi, which is the throat chakra, is also referred to as the abyss. Or if you look at the Spiritual Essence of Man book by Master Chow Kok Sui, he talks about the throat as the abyss. So the abyss is basically anything below the throat chakra is the abyss, and anything above the throat chakra is divine. So at this point in the story, the Pandavas are still, abyss and below. So they're still throat and below. It is my understanding that as we evolve as human beings, these functions of all these chakras, there are also upper correspondence, there are also higher correspondence. And gradually as the person evolves, that the function of these elements goes higher and higher in the human body. Okay, so that is the description of the Pandavas. Here is a list of 80 of the 100 Kauravas. This is again taken from the book God Talks with Arjuna from Paramhans Yogananda's book. So this is just to give you an idea of all the things that are considered vices, and there are only 80 of them listed here. So the purpose of life is also to get rid of all these 100 Kauravas. And to do that, we require the help of the 5 Pandavas, which are the 5 chakras that we talked about. Of course, in Pranic Healing, we talk about 11 chakras because Pranic Healing is a more evolved system of it's a more evolved chakral system, I guess is what I could say. Not to disparage anybody else, I just want to make the statement here that, as consciousness is ready, it is believed that the teachings are revealed. So possibly at the time when this was written or was interpreted, maybe the gurus and the rishis thought it wise to only mention 5 chakras, realizing probably that as time goes on, other teachers will come and they will expose and they will reveal to the people that there are more and more and more chakras. So again, in Pranic Healing, we talk about 11 major chakras. I think in the yoga system, there are 7 or 9 chakras. And in the Bhagwad Gita, we talk about 5 chakras. But again, we'll keep going on this. Okay, so again, on page 47 of the Bhagwad Gita, written by Paramhans Yogananda, he says that each worldly person should every night before retiring ask his intuition, who is a spiritual faculty, and ask, who won the war today? Did my spiritual faculties win, or did my physical inclinations of temptations win the day today? Okay, between my good habits and my bad habits. So that brings us to the end of session 3, and we will see you soon. I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you so much.